I had to wait for nighttime to record this because it's been like 1,000 degrees. It's been 1,000 degrees here underneath my bridge. I don't know what the hell that voice is. Anyway, talking about Tigertail. Fucking glare. Tigertail. It's on Netflix. It's I think written and directed by Alan Yang. He's worked on Aziz Ansari's show and all that and all that, the other stuff. This is, I think, his like directorial debut. Anyway, like it's like, anyway, who cares about that? Yeah, that's a good sound. So this story is about a father, his past, and then him trying to, I guess, get back into contact, have a better relationship with his estranged daughter. And how this movie is structured is that, like, we get a lot of, like, flashback kind of moments. And most of the movie is flashback. Like, it goes a lot of flashback, then it's current stuff. And then it's, like, then it kind of then jumps around a lot. Obviously, as storytelling and establishing things, if you want to do it right. It stars the guy who plays the dad in The Farewell, and he's also in Mulan, whenever the fuck that ever is coming out. It's like 1 a.m. You really blasting music out of your car? Jesus Christ. Anyway, so the movie is about how, like, him as a child in Tigertail, lived on a farm with, like, with grandparents. Then moved back with his mother. They both work in a factory together. And then he ends up going to America because, he's a young guy, and then his boss at the factory is like, hey, you've always wanted to go to America. My daughter apparently also wants to go to America. We'll make an arrangement, you guys get married. This is what we're going to do. And that might sound weird, but that's a thing that people, did back in the day. I mean, like, nowadays probably too. I mean, 90 Day Fiancé exists, Anyway, so it's about, like, him coming to America, not in that sense, but yes, and you see how, you kind of understand why his relationship with his daughter is estranged, because you see how, in a sense, his relationship with women, are in general, and then, like, with his, like, grandma, and then his mother, and then, like, his, like, new bride, who he really doesn't have feelings for, because it's just, like, here's my ticket to the U.S. kind of thing. And then he has, like, he has a daughter, and then how he treats her, and it's like a cycle kind of thing. So, the funny thing is that in this movie, his character has 2 children, a son and a daughter. You never see the son, you just hear that his name is Bobby, he's doing well, his band's currently on tour. That's all you know about him, And it's funny because, like, in, like, an Asian family kind of thing, it's like, oh, well, probably that's why he's doing well and he's having fun. He has a band and he can do all that stuff because he's the son. Whether he's younger or older, it, like, really, I think now, because it's current times, they don't care. As long as it's a son, they're like, oh, yeah, we have a son. And it's like that terrible Asian mentality of, like, you need the son to lead the family because women can't do shit, Like, thanks. God damn it, I mean, my dad didn't think that because he was just like, I have kids. I mean, whatever the hell I end up being, end up turning out to being a failure. Anyway, but yeah, like, the guy, you can see his relationship with women, like, his grandma, like, he would be like, whoa, grandma, I saw blah, 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 and the grandma's like, hey, you're being a little shit, you're in the rice field, go do rice field things, whatever the fuck that is, And so then his mom, he's like, hey, mom, maybe you should do, like, trying to have a relationship with his mom, and his mom's like, ah. That very Asian mother, like, ah. You probably, like, if you're not Asian, you've probably seen it when you go to the restaurants or you go to the Asian markets and you see the old Asian, or, like, you see the Asian ladies who are like, ah. Do a lot of, there's a exasperated scream, a bit of a sigh, and then they fuck off kind of wave to you. Yeah. my mom and I have a great relationship, but she does do that to me every so often. But it's also because I kind of egg her on. Because I'll be like, what, Mom? And she'll just be like, jeez, freaking, you know. Anyway, so with his, anyway, so with his wife, I don't know why I'm doing quotes with wife, but like, I'm doing quotes because I'm just like, I don't really love each other. His partner, his lady, so they're in the States, and I think they got to like the Bronx or something, because it looks like the Bronx in like, in the olden days, like obviously way before I was born, but it looks like, you know, old school Bronx, or really current Bronx if you think about it. You know, he's working, she's not, you know, that's how things are. And she's, the wife, she's going out to like do small loads of laundry so she can like go out and see people. I mean, I wouldn't know what it's like to be cooped up in a house. Anyway, and one day, you know, she like sees another Asian person. She's like, oh my God. And then she's like, wait, are you Taiwanese? Can we speak the same language? And the woman's like, yeah, oh bitch, we friends now. You know, and it's like cute that she like makes a friend and all that stuff. Because I know my mom said like when she first came to the States, she was like, oh, I was scared shitless. She's like, I didn't know anyone. You know, she was like, no one looked like me. You know, she was like, she was like, the only person I knew was your father. And I was like, yeah, that's definitely not scary at all. That, you know, it's just, you know, that kind of feeling. So it's a lot of that, and then you see like the relationship, you know, get rocky, because again, the relationship's not really built on love, it's built on like an opportunity, you know, and that falls apart really quickly. A lot of the flashback scenes, were filmed in 16 millimeter, so of course me, all film snobby, I'm like watching it on my, like, you know, my HD TV in the living room, and I'm like, film grade! Look at the film grade on my, you know, high quality digital television, you know, that kind of stuff. Yes. And also, a lot of, like, the flashback scenes had very good use of lighting and color. It's very, like, it makes me think of, God, that director, Wong, he's done, you know, Fallen Angels, Chungking's Express, you know, like, those 90s, like, movies, In the Mood for Love, In the Mood of Love, that one, where, like, you know, the great use of colors. There's, like, some scenes where it's just very saturated red. There's, like a cafe scene, like, in Taiwan, where it's like, you know, it's a street, you know, of course the streets are wet because that's how you get the pretty nighttime thing, and, you know, they've got the blue and red lighting going on, and they're eating, like, you know, like outdoor seating and stuff. Very well shot, you know, but anyway, yes, the prettiness aside. So the story, you know, again, it flashes to, like, I was supposed to say daytime, wow, flashes to current times, and you see that, like, you know, the daughter is just kind of like trying to make conversation with dad, and dad is being an Asian dad, and just kind of like, I got it, you know, and then she's like, the girl is trying, and the dad is like, I'm Asian father, I got it, I don't need help, you know, that kind of stuff. Again, very Asian dad. The wife, or really ex-wife, you know, she, like, calls her, and she's like, hey, you know, she's not doing well. Maybe you guys should, like, talk and stuff. And also, she told me that you didn't even tell her you went to, like, Taiwan for your mother's funeral. Like, she was kind of like, what the hell's up with that? You know, like, why didn't you tell her? Like, you know. So slowly but surely in the movie, you see, like, you see him make, like, you see the dad making an effort to try to, like, do better. But because he is an Asian dad and, like, expressing emotions and feelings and stuff isn't something any of them do, you know, because even, like, Hassan Minaj, you know, makes that joke about how, like, you know, like, when he got the job for The Daily Show, he's like, my dad said good job, and I was, like, crying watching that scene. You know, I was like, oh, fuck, my dad's never told me good job. He's usually, like, his ass was usually like, oh, well, how much does that cost? You know, that kind of shit. So as the movie progresses, you see a lot of, like, parallels happening, you know, where the dad would, you know, be, like, washing dishes and think about his past, you know, with his relationship with his mother, or when him and, like, his wife whatever, stuff would happen. And then it would be a parallel of the daughter doing the dishes and seeing how, like, when she was younger, she was at, like, piano recital. Oh, you do see the brother, but it's, like, younger versions of them. Like, he's just a kid in the car. And, she's at a piano recital. She's, like, I don't know, like, 8, 10, and she fucks up, and then she's, like, she's crying in the car, and of course the dad has a very Asian father response, which is crying doesn't solve anything, and so of course she's crying more because, really at that moment, especially if you're a kid, you fuck up, you need to be consoled. You need the don't worry, it's okay, you did fine, you did your best. But again, Asian parenting, so it's like, nah, you fucked up, you're not allowed to fuck up. And the kid is like, ah, like crying in her recital dress and all that stuff. And you can kind of see, like, how it's like, oh, it's like he hasn't really been treating women in his life pretty well, and their response, their relationship with him have been kind of meh. And then her relationship with her dad, how he's just an Asian dad, So you see a lot of that happening, and the movie's really good at the whole show me, don't tell me, because I've said this, like, I say this a lot, but also just in the time of this year, the movies I've watched where I'm just like, that's not good storytelling, that whole line, like again, like with The Grudge, where it was like, son, because your mother, a police officer, like, God, like, you don't need to fucking say it, Jesus. What's that other movie, Battleship? It was like fucking Skarsgård looks at fucking Taylor Kitsch, he was like, you are my brother, you will have the drink with me at this bar right now. I'm in the Navy. It's like, anyway, it's really good at doing, ooh, spittle. It's really good at doing that, like, show me, don't tell me. Very good at all that stuff. I really enjoyed this movie, I don't, like, I don't understand big quotes, but more like, fucking, like, I joke around and say I could be very film snobby. At the same time, like, what was it? I just rewatched, like, Tammy and the T-Rex this morning, and I'm like, I really like this movie. It's a dumbass movie, but hey, fucking Paul Walker, his brain gets put into, like, an animatronic T-Rex. I am entertained! 3 stars, But yeah, like, film snobs you would see definitely on, like, Letterboxd and just Life, Twitter, all that stuff. They're just like, oh, this movie, like, some of them are like, this, like, they're saying how they're trying to be too much of, what's his name that I said that made all those Hong Kong films, or there's always, like, the fellow Asian who's like one I remember seeing said, like, I am 100% Taiwanese, and this is blah, 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 blah. It's, like, the thing that I notice a lot in the Asian community whenever there's a show, a movie that's, like, about us, but, like, specifically this person's experience, a lot of people in the Asian community is like, well, that's not my experience, so I'm not gonna, like, support it. I'm just like, wow, and you wonder why, there's no unity in this community that run, you know what I mean? It's like, that's why, it's just, wow, okay, fuck you, like, alright, I gotta, And this movie on Letterboxd is, like, so polarizing, because I've seen reviews where, like, someone I follow on Letterboxd gave this, like, a 1.5 star. I'm like, 1.5 star? I just watched, like, a shitty 1.5 star movie. Like, that was a shitty 1.5 star movie, you know what I mean? This is not 1.5, even if you didn't like the story much, because I guess, whatever. Like, I can relate to it because I'm someone who had an Asian dad, and then just like, I get it. Just 1.5 stars, like, Jesus Christ, but it's also a white dude, so what do you expect? But then you got like that where someone's like, fuck, blah, 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 blah. But then you got but then you've got the opposite side where some people are like, this is fucking amazing, and it's like, okay, I'm just like, I liked it, man. It's shot well. The story, like, the storytelling is very, like, filmmaking storytelling /storytelling 101. Like, not to diminish this movie, but some of these things I've watched need to go back to that to understand. Like, you can tell that the way how this was told was it was outlined, you know? They had outlines, like, this is how the movie's gonna be. Then it's like, okay, these are the flashback scenes, you know, of the dad. Here's the flashback scenes of the daughter. Here's the full story. And then they, you know, mixed and matched. They did what Peter Jackson did with the second movie and how they were gonna edit those, you know, things. You know, you take it, you section it off, and then you plop it all back in. Look at that. Yeah, I enjoy Tigertail, so I would say, you know, go see it. I don't know why I'm doing this. I've lost all thought process. But yeah, it's hot. I need to turn on my other fans. Alright. Tigertail!